answer. And so we're going to begin with Kevin Waugh for the Conservatives for 6 minutes.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the guests from Rogers for coming. And I noticed from the clerk you've sent a detailed assessment of Rogers Shaw. But what I don't see is the 8 so-called middle-tier stations run by Global today in Kingston and Peterborough and out east and out west like Lethbridge and Kelowna, Regina and Saskatoon. You're putting a lot of money. You claim you are, but you're not in those markets. You've cherry-picked the Vancouvers, the Calgarys, the big cities, and you're not putting a dime into the middle markets that will really feel the effect of this merger of Shaw to Rogers. Could you comment on that?
Thank you, Mr. Waugh. Rogers City TV stations are not in those markets. Your Global News has obligations, regulatory obligations, to provide locally reflective and locally relevant news in each of the markets you just listed, and that will not change as part of this transaction. They are obliged by license to continue to fund those news operations. They will not be impacted in any way. The $13 million that continues to decline because of cable subscription declines would not be material to them. It is their budget, as I mentioned in my remarks, is $120 million a year. At Rogers, ours is $21 million a year. So there is, I don't believe, if they can't run those news operations with that amount of money, we should be having a different type of discussion.
Well, Susan Wheeler in November with Rogers has indicated, like City TV out west doesn't do a newscast. So let's start there. Would you be doing a local newscast then on City TV in Western Canada? Because you don't have anything now.
Yes, our City TV stations are located in Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver. And those markets do news today. They will continue to do news post-transaction, and those newscasts will be enhanced. We will have, as the list of commitments shows you, we will add an Indigenous component. We will add 23 more reporters. And we will add 2 reporters to the Parliamentary Bureau from Western Canada in order to bring a Western Canadian perspective to national reporting.
So I get City News in Saskatoon. Will you have a reporter in Saskatchewan? And if so, talk about that. How many reporters, what they will contribute, if anything, to the network in Saskatchewan that we currently have on Shaw and SaskTel and Access Communications.
We don't have a City TV news station in Saskatoon. In Saskatchewan, we are quite proud to be the license holder of the educational television network. And so we spend, we are quite proud and spend a lot of time and effort on delivering great programming for the children of Saskatchewan.
See, I think with the CRTC, this is a major concern. You have now 52% of the Canadian market in media if this sale goes ahead. You've just said you don't have anything in my province of Saskatchewan. This is a concern with the sale of Shaw to Rogers. You're not addressing the local news angle. You've cherry-picked your big centres of Winnipeg, Vancouver, Calgary, and so on. The 8 or 9 global stations that I have talked about, the middle market, because of the money leaving the Independent Local News Fund. And I would refute to you that $100 million isn't a lot for 8 or 9 global stations to give local news. So I can see the flag going up on this sale, and that your competition, Rogers versus Shaw, and taking on what we have seen in global, Chorus, this is the concern in those little markets. Would you not agree with me that Lethbridge, Kelowna, Regina, Saskatoon, Kingston, Peterborough, St. John would all have a disadvantage if this sale, in fact, does go ahead?
Respectfully, I don't agree with that premise. I do agree that local news is challenged across the board. If I could just make a distinction for you. 52% is the percentage of carriage. So those communities will still have Global, they will still have CTV, they will still have City, they will still have CBC. The carriage of channels is what this is about, is the 52%. The local news is about a licensed television network. The licensed television network for City TV is in the markets I described. We are the smallest of the three, CBC, CTV, and Global, CBC being public, but of the three privates, we are the smallest. CBC, CTV, and Global far outweigh the number of stations that City has. But a global viewer in Saskatchewan will not be impacted by the merging of the two cable companies. There is a distinction there.
12 seconds left. Kevin, did you have one final word or what?
How so? Because the 13 million out of the ILNP would be chewed up. And that was the hearing in November by Global, their submission.
So there is a...
no, I'm sorry, Ms. Watson. You're going to have to try and get that answer in later on with somebody else. And I'm now going to go